Fam, what's going on? It's Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. If you're happy that Alabama beat Wisconsin, hit the thumbs up on this video. I appreciate you guys. We start out with Luke Fickell's press conference. Here's what he had to say. He said, look, we got our ass straight whipped. Here's the clip.
Well, I'll give you guys the same message I just gave them. If you haven't had your ass whooped before, you just did. And it hurts, and it's not easy. But in this game, that's going to happen. And it's a part of the game. It stinks. Doesn't mean you didn't work hard. Doesn't mean you didn't prepare. It means you didn't get the job done. And whether it's a 1-point loss or a 34-point loss, it's a good old-fashioned ass whooping at home, which hurts.
Now, when you look to this game from an overall snapshot following Alabama's 42-10 victory over Wisconsin, you see that Jalen Milroe, 12 of 17 passing for 196 yards with 3 touchdowns. He also ran the football 14 times for 75 yards, including 2 touchdowns. I said he'd score 5 touchdowns. He scores 5 touchdowns in the game. Stellar performance from Jalen Milroe. Ryan Williams, 4 receptions for 78 yards. We're going to talk about him. And how about LT Overton? My goodness, absolutely balled out on the other side for Wisconsin. The backup quarterback lock, 13 of 26, 125 yards. Passing Malusi, 11 rushes for 66 yards. Headline at the bottom, Milroe accounts for 5 touchdowns in a victory in Camp Randall. Look, I know what you guys want to talk about, the injury report. We'll get there in just a second. Let's talk about the players of the game. And I want to hear from you. Post your players of the game inside the comment box. Here are the players that stood out to me in this particular game. Jalen Milroe, 275 yards of total offensive production and 5 touchdowns. You know, I was listening following the broadcast to announcers talking about the game, analysts talking about the game, talking about Jalen Milroe. And I want to get your take inside the comment box right now in this game. And I want to hear from you guys. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you grade Jalen Milroe? Right? 10 being elite, 9, very good. 8, I want to hear from you inside the comment box. 275 yards and 5 touchdowns. Man, he's already scored 14 touchdowns on this season. How about the play of LT Overton? Yo, LT Overton, we knew that he was having a really good fall camp. He's had a really good season, but man, this particular game, I think that he had the hardest hit of the season so far when he hit the quarterback. I'm surprised he got up, honestly. LT Overton, a sack and a forced fumble as well. Yo, Ryan Williams, we're going to talk about him in a second. How could we not? 78 yards and a touchdown. And then Jam Miller, 71 yards rushing, including a score. And then Keon Sabb, 6 tackles and a pass breakup, 2 pass breakups in this particular performance. I thought he did really well. Now, here's the overall injury report. Quay Russo, look, lower leg, Malachi Moore head, Richard Young, lower leg. As you know, Jeremiah Alexander out, Jalen Hell out, and then also Cole Adams looks like he's, I guess, week to week. Lower leg. Now, this was said by Coach Kalen DeBoer following the game that it's and he said this when he was talking about Richard Young. He said similar lower leg type injuries. Now, on the TV broadcast, it looked like Devontae Smith flew into Quay Russo and he was down on the ground. Now, with Richard Young, I didn't quite see what happened. There was a kind of a scrum, if you will, and each of those guys had to be helped off the field. So, you know, prayers up for those guys, and hopefully Alabama can rest them and get them ready to go against Georgia. You know, Quay's been having a really nice season, and it was good to see Richard Young in the later half of the game. Now, Malachi Moore, the interesting thing with him is he came, it was a play inside the red zone. Him and Keon Sabb actually collided, and it looked like, you know, he was clutching his head. From what we understand, he was able to go into the locker room, and I'm sure Jeff Allen will provide an update to Coach Kalen DeBoer, and you know, hopefully he's okay as well. Malachi Moore is certainly one of the top ambassadors for Alabama's overall program, and certainly a playmaker to this Alabama defense. So, you know, in place of these guys, you saw Yanzi Pierre come in for Quay Russo, and you saw Devontae Smith go to the safety position, and Red Morgan, who's just a freshman, go to that Husky position where he's been playing this season. Now, you know, I want to ask you a question on this, ask you a question about this. With Justice Haynes, he only had 2 carries in this game, right? And even Coach Fickell, during his post-game press conference, was talking about the fact that he didn't expect Jalen Milroe to run as many designed runs as he had in this game. What was your take on that? Are you surprised that Justice Haynes only had 2 carries in this game? I think there was a rumor out there that he might be injured. I haven't heard that. I just saw it as a rumor. But you did see Richard Young, and he went down. Other guys that I want to ask you about before we move on and talk about Ryan Williams, Kendrick Law, this is the second game in a row where Kendrick Law hasn't received a reception. Kobe Prentice, I think he got in one time, I want to say, but didn't record a pass as well, a reception. I thought Josh Cuevas, man, he snagged a beautiful pass from Jalen Milroe. Jeremy Bernard caught a touchdown as well. And, of course, Ryan Williams, who we're going to talk about next. Just absolute. This is incredible. I've never seen something like this happen. What we're watching right now is absolutely greatness. The young man has 10 receptions for 285 yards and 4 touchdowns. All right. He has touchdowns from 84 yards out, 55 yards out, 43 yards out, 31 yards out. All right. He's averaging per game 95 yards per game. It's really extraordinary. And look, this is the hat that you can get on Athlete's Thread. It supports the players. It goes back so purchasing this hat goes back into the bank account of these guys. So 4 + 2 = 6. And you can get that on Athlete's Thread. Look, I asked this during my live show. Do you think he's one of the best wide receivers in college football right now at 17? I know it sounds preposterous to ask a question like that, but I think he might be, right? The other thing that stood out to me about Ryan Williams is the punt return, okay? So with Cole Adams now out, and I guess week to week or whatever the case he is with his arm injury, you have Jalen Mbakwe, who's also seen time, as a punt returner. But there was something special. Did you guys feel this as well? When you just, look, you've seen a lot of football. I have too. You can just tell when someone has it. Now, when he got that punt, I thought that he was going to take the punt to the house. I really did. He's got just a different gear. It's impressive to see. I love the way that they've been able to utilize him. It's been really quite impressive early on, the production of Ryan Williams for the University of Alabama. Just absolutely phenomenal. I would have thought at the beginning of the season, we were talking, would he catch for over 500 yards? The guy's on pace for a 1,000-yard type season and tons of touchdowns. This is absolutely beautiful what you're seeing from a freshman. Alabama 42, Wisconsin 10. What else stands out to you from this game? I want to hear from you inside the comment box. What are some takeaways? What do you think about the defense? Now, for me, I think the defense, I feel that the defense overall has been playing really good, okay? There's been a couple different times where I've wondered, can they stop? Do they have a problem stopping the run up the middle? Sometimes they've been playing really well. But like that 17-yard drive, man, that you can't have that later on. Wisconsin, that was a good drive by them, which capped off by, ironically, a touchdown pass. But, man, they were able to run the ball during that drive. Now, Malusi, their running back, ends up 66 yards, but you get what I'm saying. It seemed like at times, Wisconsin was able to run the football up the middle of the field. Same thing with South Florida. I felt at times they were able to run the football up the middle of the field, specifically in week 2 with their quarterback, this time with their running backs. Something to keep an eye on. I think the defense overall, though, is flying around. These guys, came into the games only allowing 8 points per game. They only allowed 10 today in Camp Randall, and I get it. And I don't want people to say, Tyler Van Dyke played, it would have been different. No, it wouldn't. He was 5 of 5 for 16 yards. He hasn't been having the best season, and prayers up to him. I hope he gets healthy. But either way, we're going to run into a buzzsaw with this Alabama defense. I thought Q-Rob played well again. LT Overton, absolutely outstanding. Keon Sabb, that guy's an absolute playmaker. Malachi Moore, prayers up for him. He's a baller. Who else stood out for you? I want to hear from you inside the comment box. This team is 3-0 going into an open week. With a lot to improve on, for sure. Are they perfect? No. The injuries, they're concerning, for sure. Like Kawhi Russo, you got to get him healthy, 1,000,000%. And Richard Young, you're going to need these guys because it's a gauntlet of this season. I sincerely appreciate you guys being here. Definitely check out Coach Kalen DeBoer's press conference. Check out Luke Fickell's press conference and stay tuned. And we'll keep you posted as any news comes in. We'll bring it right here on Bama Football on YouTube. Remember, you can support the players by going to Athlete's Thread. I really appreciate you guys for being here. Kyle Henderson of Bama Football on YouTube. Drop this video a thumbs up. Let's make the goal 500. Can we get 500 thumbs up on the video? I appreciate you guys, and I'll be back as news happens right here on Bama Football on YouTube. See you guys.